I wanted to do that one, and you took it from me, and you just messed up pretty.
All right,
pretty
let the show commence. What do you?
All right, Mr. Lee, what do you have to contribute to today?
No.
No.
That's my question. Let the show commence.
No.
We're commencing. All right, let's have at it.
It's your show. You
what
run
is it? Huh?
It's your show. You run it.
Is it my show?
I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? So what's up? What's new?
Nothing. Just work. How do you
What
deal
a downer.
with?
You should be happy you have a job.
I don't have a job. I do have a job, but it's like whatever. I was wondering the other day, like, how do you deal with stress? It's kind of funny because, when you work, we were talking about this, when you work at an office and there's stress at your office and stress caused because of your office, because of you're the employers or in the fellow employees and all that stuff, right? And even if you're a diehard team player and you love that place, you love the work, right? There's still the sense...
Yeah.
Not interested in this at all.
I'm tired, man.
But there's still the sense that the office is like a separate thing from you, right? Even if this is like, this is the place I want to be. I found it. I will be here the rest of my life. There's still the sensation and the knowing that it's kind of like happened by luck, by chance. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Everything evolved in a way, and there happened to be these two other people that started an office, and you just happen to come along at the right time to be there with them. And because of that, even if you are entrenched in who they are, that's still separate from you. So when you have office problems, you go home, they might bother you, but they're still office problems. And you recognize that you have your own personal shit that's different from office shit. Even if the office shit is bothering you, outside of work. There's still this gap between the two. And it's kind of comforting in a way, right? Because I might be stressed out about it, but I know it's not me. I'm not the one who's causing it. The office is causing it, right? It's not really my problem because it's not my office. I didn't create the situation. The office created the situation. The office was created by someone else, in fact. I'm here for the ride. And I think that's really comforting in some ways. Because when you are not working for someone else, like we are at the moment, for the most part, and there's stress in the life, doesn't seem to, and it's because of the business, it's no longer a separate thing. It's no longer, you can't say, well, that's office life, not my problem, or it's office life, it didn't come from me. It's not, I know for certain it wasn't, these problems weren't produced because of me. You can't say that anymore because you're the one who founded the thing, you started the thing, you're running the thing. So if something's going wrong, it might be because of external factors, but at some point you still have to question, is it me?
But I feel like you have to question that no matter where you work, like if it's for someone else or for yourself. Like if there is a difficult situation in your office, well, you need to figure out where it comes from. It could very likely come from you. You might not be the reason why, but you might be making it worse than it is, or
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and I think people have the responsibility to think that way. But I suppose so. Let's say you're working with even if the problem is to do with like your lighting consultant, and then they're a problematic lighting consultant, and you're at work and you work for someone else, right? And this is your project. There's still some sensation of like, well, I don't have complete control of the situation because I am an employee, even if I'm a senior project manager or whatever, I'm still an employee. So there's some amount of like offloading of, the conflict onto, as I'm calling it, quote unquote, the office.
Well, yeah, because there is so much you can do in your role to fix it, right? I mean, if it's not fixable at your level, then the next level up will have to fix it. Right.
And that's the weird thing, because when you're on your own, like as what's the saying, the buck stops here. There's no one else past you. That's it. You're in charge of everything.
Actually, I'm here.
Oh yeah, it's your fault. You're causing all the problems. And that's not to say we're having a problem.
No. I mean, I'm the next level up.
Yeah, so I blame you. You're in control.
Oh, okay. Right. I'm the bad guy then.
But do you know what I mean? And so that's what I'm saying. Even if the issues you're dealing with are seemingly external, when you work somewhere else, there's still the fact that you don't have as much responsibility because it's not your company. Therefore, it's a relief. It's a relief. I have all these issues, but I'm not in total control, and in some way, that's a relief. When you're on your own and there are problems, even if the problems aren't caused by you, it's like much more stressful, you know. And I was telling you the other day, it's kind of like, you know, when you're working on something and there's trouble, and the trouble is caused by external factors out of your control, right? And you know that through and through. You know it objectively, and you think about it. You know, question yourself, like, no, I'm pretty sure external factors, like this, I couldn't do anything about it, out of my control because it's external. You would think that would bring some solace. Is that the right word? I don't know. Some comfort, some level of comfort, and it does. But I was also thinking, like, you know, let's say comparatively, you're like the safest driver in the world, and somehow we knew you were the safest driver in the world. Like, everyone knows that God knows that you are, all things define the safest driver in the world. Great. But you keep getting to accidents 3 times a month, 6 months in a row.
Well, maybe you're lying to yourself. You're not such a safe driver.
That's what makes you question yourself, for sure, which you probably should. But let's say even then you knew, no, I'm the one that, I didn't cause any problems. This guy was drunk. He ran the red light. He hit me. This other person was doing whatever. They ran out into the street. None of these problems are mine. The external stuff. And this is where it gets concerning, because it's like, does it matter that you're the safest driver in the world? Does it matter that you're the one that's right? Does it matter that you're the one that's operating correctly? If it's negativity and problems around you and you know, in your situation all the time, right? I might be the safest driver, but if I get in accidents 3 times every month for 6 months, I'm going to fucking stop driving, even if I know I'm in the right. Do you know what I mean? That's an interesting thing.
So what's the solution then?
I don't know.
So either you lower your caring level, you just don't care.
Yeah, that's one solution.
Right and people are wrong. You lower your expectation level, so you know it hurts you and frustrates you a little bit less. Or what? Or you just start doing what the others are doing?
I don't know. I mean, I think the solution...
But then you go against yourself, so...
Yeah, I think the solution is to basically just work on yourself. Not to... Work on yourself to always be better at your job and be an even safer driver, right? You can always do that. But I think it's working on yourself in the sense of, how do you manage this internal stress that's within you, you know? So I don't mean working yourself in to become a better driver or whatever, but working yourself to manage and cope with the situation. And that's the point for me that I think that's the question that's really interesting. Like, how do you do that? Is it better to voice these issues and frustrations and things out loud? Or is it better not to? You voice it out loud. A lot of people would say you have to get it out. Otherwise you keep it in, you blow up at some point. And when you voice it out loud, it makes you confront the issue. It becomes real. But there's also something about when you are voicing and expressing negative events that are, again, external. Some fucking drunk driver hit me, but you keep talking about those things, that it somehow shapes reality. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know where that line is. I don't know when it's good to talk about it and when it's not good to talk about it. You know,
I think it's, in general, anything that bothers you, it's good to talk about right away. Like, don't let it get like deeper, or like, you know, amplified, or like drag it along and like, you know, twist the version. Like, just, you know, like pop the bubble right away and then move on. Yeah,
I mean, I hear you, but I mean, so like when back in New York, when you're working at different what?
Yeah,
some water.
And my camera.
Huh? That's some water. I think it was an Italian mafia like gangster. That's how I would talk. Do you want some water?
That's not even Italian.
It is. It's Italian. It's Italian.
Well, in David's world,
it's
maybe.
Italian. Give me some meatballs.
You gotta upset people. They can stop talking like this.
Did you get him? Did we kill him? That's how I would talk. You know that kind of gangster.
Well, now we're gonna have the Sicilian gangster against us.
I don't think they care. I don't think they listen to this.
I'm not gonna even try to bug them. Okay, that's not.
I have a tracksuit. I'll blend in. It won't be a problem. I'm Donnie Brasco. That's the. I mean, I guess if you're Chinese, you can't really go undercover, right? Not as malleable.
You have to have like massive surgery. Get some fake eyeballs.
Fake eyeballs. Your eyelids are small, but
Get
your eyeballs
wrinkles,
are white. My goodness.
You need some wrinkles.
What was I saying?
I don't know. Very depressing stuff.
When we were back in New York, we were working at different offices, and for a period of time, you know what it's like.
We sound like old people. When we were back in New York.
Well, it feels like a lifetime ago. When you're living with your significant other, and it's challenging for many reasons, but one of them being like the amount of smelly cheese is just, it's a lot of intense.
What are you talking about? You enjoy them as much as I do.
I do actually. Stink it up. But it's tough because you go the whole day without seeing each other, and you're the majority of your life, it feels like, is more with the office, and you get back home and you want to talk about, you need to converse in some way because that's how you have a relationship, right? But there's a period of time where we were both unhappy, but let's say one instance where you were really unhappy with your office, and every day you would come back and tell me about your day, but it was just negativity and sadness and depression and darkness and death and tears and stressful redlining and shitty bosses and AutoCAD and ga. And I said, like, it's great that we're conversing, but it's too much. It's too much.
Wow, let's talk about marital support in here.
No.
That's can't even talk about the shit that makes me depressed at home. Well, maybe I should just start a podcast. But
it's also the same thing of like when this is a specific reference, but like when you're part of any organization. When you're part of any organization, or in this case for me, I was in a band, and the director sucks, and he's an asshole, and he's doing weird shit that's borderline inappropriate with students, and whatever, but you're entrenched in that organization, you cannot continually say how shitty it is. You can't, because if you do that, you'll go nuts, right? And assuming you don't have an option to leave, you're stuck there for whatever reason, right? You can't do that. You can't be negative about. You can't bring up all the negative stuff going on, because it's just no way to live. You can't survive. You want
to talk about something? Is there something that's upsetting you lately?
But this balance between, it's like, how do you deal with things that are clearly wrong, and you know that they're wrong, and they are also now no longer easily pushed off onto someone else, because we're pushed off to the organization, because the organization was started, run, directed by someone else. You can't do that now, because this is your organization, right?
Oh, if you have your own business, you mean?
Yeah. What do you do? How do you deal with these things? When do you vocalize it? When do you not vocalize it?
Well, you mean like with like people you work, like clients and stuff?
Yes. Whatever.
Well, it's a different beast, right?
It's,
because you have to be professional in the way you vocalize it, and since you're the boss, you got to maintain certain reputation.
No, I don't mean vocalize. Sorry, I don't mean vocalize it with the people you mentioned, but vocalize it to other people in the office, or to yourself even, out loud.
Well, I mean, since you didn't really give me any mental support, I won't give you any, so you're going to need to find a buddy to talk to. I mean, it is
you get the question?
I think, but I think, I think you should vocalize it as soon as it happens, again, to whoever is the most appropriate person to vocalize it to. Just, again, pop the bubble, say everything you got to say, empty your bag and everything, like flip it over, empty your pockets, empty everything about it. Say everything that comes to mind that you just want to get out of your system. And once you're done, then, put it in the box, throw it in the water, and keep walking. You see, I'm very easy.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just when you put that information out there, someone else is receiving it, right? So that, let's call it poison, is now, you're expelling it, right? But when you expel it, it doesn't just go in a box in the ocean. It gets spread on other people because they have to think about it, and it becomes part of it becomes part of reality,
No, but that's why you just make it a one-time thing. and the other
Yeah.
person, it just needs to be aware that they cannot, get in deeper into it. That's it.
Yeah, I was wondering, that's where like meditation, exercise, like some people say, well, I have these, I just go exercise, I run like a maniac, exercise hardcore, and that's how I deal with it. And,
I mean, get a punching bag, start punching shit. Like, I'm sure that would help, like, get the stuff out.
I think the physical activity is certainly a big benefit.
I think
But violent activity like punching. Like, I can't run and then feel that way.
Well, I mean, something that you need to use power. I don't know that you need to use violence necessarily, because you might actually just, keep like that muscle of your brain and emotion active constantly, which I don't necessarily think is good. But like something that requires power, like bike up a hill, for 30 minutes, or like, run carrying like 50-pound weight or something, like do something that's like, it's gonna take so much energy and power from your body that it would take your brain off of it.
Yeah, maybe I could see that. All right, so I'm gonna roll.
That's why cleaning is very good.
What?
That's why cleaning the house is very good in a way.
The house is not that dirty.
I'm saying in general. I don't know how dirty everybody's house is.
They're saying instead of like running up a hill, you could clean the house. I'm like, that's not.
No, but it's like if you do something that like, like I don't know, you just clean your car, like top to bottom, up and down, you go clean your neighbor's car, like do something that just like takes so much of your brain and body that, you don't have to think about it. Meditation to me is a great concept.
Rotate your mic this way a little bit and push the arm that way, because I'm seeing half of your face. Yeah, and then rotate. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, that's weird.
No, it's not.
Always cutting me off.
Meditation.
When I talk.
Meditation.
I need someone to talk to about you, because
meditation.
Meditation sounds like a great concept to me, and we have tried since the new year using just like a meditation timer, because I refuse to pay to meditate. I mean, you can get like apps and you pay to like have a background sound and like someone telling you, breathe now, open your mouth, swallow some air. Like, okay, I don't need that.
Open your mouth, swallow some air.
I mean, no, you know what I mean?
Open your legs, swallow some air.
God, it's always dirty with you. So meditation sounds great, but I have so much shit to do that it's
You're
like,
really not good at it.
It's like I'm just sitting there with my big eyes open, looking around like, I've never seen that piece of dust before. Oh, and look at this fuzz over there.
But the key is you have to focus on your breathing. That's the only way to clear the mind.
I would rather do like yoga or Pilates to focus on my breathing.
Do you try focusing on the breathing?
It's exhausting.
To breathe? But you don't know.
Like,
but you don't meditate that way.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's hard. Yeah, it is hard. In like the 15 minutes set aside to try and do it, I probably get about 12 seconds worth of like the moment where your mind is not really thinking about anything. And it is when I'm thinking about breathing, in, out, and there's nothing else. It's weird. I know there's nothing else, but somehow I'm also conscious enough that there's nothing there. I don't know if that's meditation, but it's certainly not thinking about all the problems. The 15 minutes minus 12 seconds is occupied with me thinking about the most random shit that I have to take care of. But I think it could be good. Me
too. Or I try to start by thinking about what I'm thankful for.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Like, I'm
self-centered,
thankful
but yeah.
No. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to have all my arms and legs.
Well,
I'm thankful not to wear glasses.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I can speak multiple languages and be very good at it.
Yeah, right.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, try to like use the start by using the time to think about the good. Like, if I can focus on my breathing and think about my breathing, because I just don't get it, I'm just start thinking about, okay, what is good? Just remind myself what is good.
Yeah.
As a way to like zen out a little, And then I start thinking about all the shit I have to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think it could be quite powerful, but it's a difficult thing to get into. I don't know, exercise, meditation. Those are like the most generic things, but they feel like they're legit.
Waking up early gets me going. Like waking up really early, if I can get out of bed, there's something about the feeling of, being the first one out there. Like
Yeah.
the world is still unexplored, unused, untouched by other people. Like it's yours for a few minutes. Like I really like that.
That's also, it's very similar to when you're doing an all-nighter and you go outside to get a late night snack or I don't know, whatever, and it's like 3:30 in the morning. 3:30 in the morning, I'd say probably from 3:15 until like 4:30 is like the dead zone, right? Like 2 o'clock, people still drinking in the States. 2:30, people still out. 3 o'clock, maybe people are staggering home. But 3:30 to like 4:30-ish, there's
It's
not
all
much.
the weirdos.
There's not much out there.
Or the serial killers, the robbers. I mean,
But and then architects.
and architects.
But I think that's why, for me, I always did a lot of all-nighters. One of the many reasons was that I just liked it at that time. It's like the world is off, and now you're in a dream state. You know, in movies where like what was the movie with Matt Damon? The Adjustment Bureau or something, where or maybe it was someone else. What was it called? There's a movie where there's a secret society of guys, right? And Kiefer Sutherland was in the movie. It wasn't Matt Damon. And they pause the world in the middle of the night, and they go around and inject people in their minds, and they re-architect the world, and then overnight, you know, a housewife will become like the president or something. And it's a story of a person, I forget the actor, he's a really good actor, who somehow manages to be awake during this moment. And then, you know, the organization the company is after him, and he's running around. But it's that kind of feeling where like everything's paused, and it's like almost a superpower. Like no one else is around. Like I could do anything. And the feeling of freedom, the feeling of like almost being naive and being like a child again, because everything's just like open and blank and empty and crisp, is like addicting.
But that's why I prefer the morning over the evening, because I feel like the morning is like everything was created overnight and it's unseen yet. You know, at night it's kind of like, well, it's mostly indoors. Like, what are you going to do out there?
But when you say at night, though, you're talking about the 3:30 to 4:30. Yeah. That's not at night. That's what I'm saying. There's night, there's day, and there's a 3:30 to 4:30, which is.
Well, if it's not
I don't
night,
know,
then
like
what
somehow
is it?
time like you know, distorts.
I've never been big in like, you know, like all-nighters and things like that.
Why?
Also, I mean, you can do all-nighters in Paris. I mean, everything's closed at that time. So.
Well, you don't do an all-nighter to hang out. You do it to be productive. That's laughable.
I'm just organized.
Yeah, I'm not. I was never that way. But and also the weird thing about working late at night is you think there's more time than there actually is.
But that's the
like
thing.
The
You're lying
idea,
to yourself.
The idea is like, oh man, I have from 10:30 until 6:30 to work. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get so much stuff done in that time. But when you think about it, if you take the number 8 hours, that's the same thing as like 9 to 6 or whatever, right? And it's like, well, probably not going to be that productive, you know. And also, because also when it's you're going to pull an all-nighter, you know it. It's like, all right, okay, I got time to eat dinner. I'm going to go to Starbucks. I'm going to have a beer. Maybe I'll watch something while I work. I got all the time in the world, man. Because there's no sense of time from like 12 to 4. You know, I mean, the clocks move, but the sun doesn't move. There's no tracking of time because no one else is working. There's no people to watch to have a sense of like the hours going by. So you feel like from 12 to 4 is just infinite space. It's possibilities. We could do anything.
All right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might stay up all night tonight just to see what happens.
You just wake up early, skip lunch, and you don't have to do an all-nighter.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. So what other solutions do you have, huh?
Just stay zen. I
think drinking is a good one.
Right. I mean, you know, killing yourself slowly is one way to go.
Oh my God.
I think drinking is a band-aid. Like it doesn't solve problems. It doesn't make things go away. It makes it go. It gives you the illusion to make it go away for a little while.
Yeah.
Until like, you know, reality hits you back the next day, and then what? You just keep drinking.
Yeah, but you've never
you just gotta confront it.
You never like, you know, the end of a big project, you go out for drinks to not just to celebrate, but also to kind of just melt away stress. That
and dancing, like go party. It's probably the best. Like just get that body shaking, you know, from sitting all day.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. I've never done that. That would never be my inclination, is to relieve stress by dancing.
Wow, such a happy person.
It's too, well, the problem is that there's too many people around, right? They're bumping into you and stuff. Like, I don't know you.
Oh, God.
I don't know you.
What else is new in your life? Anything
That's
happy?
why I think drinking in the middle of the night from like 3 to 4:30, it's the best solution. I was in college. We had where I lived in last year, which is like, the craziest year because they're doing the most all-nighters. It seems like we had a balcony, not a balcony, but like we're in the second story of our apartment building, and it faced a courtyard, and the courtyard faced a cul-de-sac, and across the cul-de-sac there was like a fraternity. So there's like, you could sit on the second story walkway, which is outside, and like just watch stuff happen. And I feel like that was a very good space to, like I said, melt away some of the issues. You go out there, you sit on the cheap IKEA foldable chairs, you put your feet on the railing, and you drink some beers, and you talk about conceptual shit until like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you go to bed. Maybe that's the solution.
I gotta get some railing.
I need a second story. I need beer. I need a lot of things. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
This concludes the first portion of the episode. What's next?
What's next? I don't know.
Well, we went to Hayes Valley, right? We could talk about that.
We went to Hayes Valley.
Lest we forget that our Castro episode offended some people in the Castro district. Not that we care. I don't care at all.
Oh, I don't think that guy was in the Castro district.
Of course he wasn't. The people who were actually there probably found it funny as fuck. Some obscure one singular person out in the universe who thinks he has a presence. He doesn't. Gonna bitch about something. Get out of here.
So are we going to upset the Hayes Valley people? Or?
No, unlikely. Do they identify as a people? Hazers.
Hazers? They don't even have a word for
Probably
district
not.
people. Yeah, so we did our New Year's resolution, which we skipped quite a bit lately because we've been swamped. But we went to Hayes Valley in San Francisco this morning.
You bored of San Francisco yet? This is our second time going out. Do you feel like you're reaching?
Is that a question or a
approaching the
statement?
threshold? Well, it's a question.
Am I bored of San Francisco?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to get to know my geography of San Francisco. Wouldn't say that I've been stimulated by San Francisco.
Not yet. That hasn't happened.
Again, like I said this morning, I think New York has set expectation on everything so high for me that it's hard for me to feel excited about stuff anymore.
But when you say stimulated, do you mean like you need something that's going to shock you, like that kind of stimulation, or
no, stuff that just makes me happy or excited, or I don't want to go home. I want to keep walking around and see stuff. I'm kind of like.
But so Hayes Valley didn't really do that for you. But what about? But in New York, you felt that way.
Yeah. But I think it's the energy of the people everywhere.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that's like the district or the architecture or the weather, or I think it's just feeling, like all the blood moving around you, feeling all of the ambition, all of the projects people are doing, all of the things that everybody's accomplishing at the same time you're out, and You
didn't get that from Hayes Valley?
No, I mean, we went out there today on Saturday morning, which was very nice out.
Middle of the day.
So it was. Yeah, I mean, there's so much less people out generally in the streets over here than in New York that it's hard to kind of sense the heartbeat, of humanity. So no, it didn't really get.
I think we should go to downtown San Francisco, on a Friday.
I've been to downtown.
Yeah, but not on a Friday at 6:30 p.m. See it then.
And then maybe. And then I was reflecting on the way back. So we went to Hayes Valley. We walked around a little bit. We entered a couple shops and sunglasses stores and furniture stores and whatever. And I forgot that I felt like kind of like you in the Muni, in the bus, and when you were like, oh, I'm back in the world with reality and people and life. I kind of felt like that this morning. I was like, I forgot that when you enter a store, you're semi-expected to be interested in things and potentially buy things, and that people who work in the store are going to come and talk to you, and you will have to say something back. And I kind of felt like I've been taken by surprise, this morning. And looking back, I was like, I probably seemed so awkward to these people working in the stores because I probably looked so confused about what they were asking me, and probably also what I was wearing today was probably confusing the hell out of them.
I mean, you were wearing clothes. It was pretty normal.
No, but I was wearing these like leggings and like extra big sweater, and my hair, I just woke up with my hair like that.
Fashionable.
And I was like, it was so weird. It was so weird.
Yeah, no, it's because we entered this, I mean, we had no reason to go out other than just to go out. And we're walking down a street that, was relatively attractive, like 4-story,
it's pretty cute
3-story, kind of like Victorian-esque buildings. All the ground levels had shops and restaurants, trees, right? On the corner, there was a lot that's open with like some kind of art sort of kiosk things. And so, that kind of
pretty good neighborhood.
Ice cream shops and things like this. And walking by, and there's a storefront. Then what drew me into it was you could see that into the store, there's a kind of initial space that wasn't a vestibule. It wasn't a foyer, but kind of an initial shorter ceiling space. And then just past that was the 2-story height, big space, and they had some big vertical line gestures. I was like, I just want to go there. So hard right, just turn in there, right? And the woman approached us who was working, which we couldn't tell she was working because she's sitting on a couch, like this cool,
I guess that's the way you sell stuff now. You're on the laptop waiting for people to come to you.
Exactly. Like, are you a customer? Do you work here? Are you lounging here? Are you homeless?
Hi. I'm like, hi.
yeah, that's what.
Need something? I don't work here.
Yeah.
Oh, you work here. Oh, okay, never mind.
And immediately assumes that we're interested in stuff. And she's like, she assumed that we were interested in the stuff. Fair assumption. She assumed we knew what the store was about. Also fair assumption. Neither of those things were true. She also assumed that we had an interest to speak with a representative. A fair assumption. Also not true. And so she's talking, and you did a pretty good job of conversing. It ended up being better than me.
That's painful.
It was a custom furniture store, and what they do is they have custom furniture. You can order furniture of different sizes and choose your upholstery. It's not super high end, but it's that's what it is.
It's $5,000 for a couch. It's not the cheapest.
Yeah, but it's So it's that, right? So it also makes it confusing because there's this like lounge. There's a seats, couches and stuff around. But a lot of places now have couches because it's kind of cool. So I didn't know immediately what the store was. I was literally just drawn in because of the vertical lines I saw in the double story height space. So we get in there and she starts talking to us. And midway through the conversation, I'm like, I still have no idea what this place is about. And somehow you're like, oh, we're architects. And so, yada, yada. She's like, okay, have a look. And then we're walking through into the space that I said to you, I said, yeah, I just wanted to come in here for the space. I had no idea what they were selling. I had no idea the price. I had nothing. I have no interest in the products
She was like, are you guys interested in buying something? Have you seen our website? We're like, no, we just walk by. We just cover you there.
I want to say like, perhaps, what is it you're selling exactly?
Couch legs. Interesting.
So I don't know. It's awkward when you go into stores, though.
That, and then we went to a store that sells glasses, right? Because you're looking to get a new pair. And I'm like, I love going to these stores. Also, it's kind of gross because a lot of those glasses have like really big, fat, greasy fingerprints all over them. And I'm like, how often do they clean those? I mean, there is this coronavirus around. Like, should I be using Purell or what? And so I'm trying the most extravagant glasses they have because that's what I do when I go to a glass store.
Yeah, not helpful. You're the worst person
I have perfect vision. I don't need glasses.
Thank you.
So it's like playground. It's like, okay, let's see the weirdest stuff that they have there.
You are the worst person to go with.
And you're the worst person to go with because you're blind. My duty is to take like millions of video of you trying glasses that all looks the same. I'm thinking, we go back home, we watch those videos, and you're interested in one.
Oh my God.
They all look the same. Who would know which one's which?
Okay, rebuttal. Here's my rebuttal. First of all, when you're speaking to someone who is blind, you don't say, I have perfect vision, so I just want to try the craziest glasses on because I have perfect vision, and you're blind, so I need to help you find glasses because you're blind. Okay, strike 1 and 2 right there, okay? Okay. The thing is, I am extremely blind, and I don't have soft lenses or anything like that.
You're blind, you're trying glasses on, and I'm trying glasses on. I'm like, oh, look, are they fun? And you come like close to my nose, and you're like, oh, I think they're weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, people in the store are going to be like, what do you think?
I don't know about this. So when anyone who has glasses and you go to get new ones, you know what I'm talking about. You get there, if you're not wearing contacts, and you're as blind as I am, which I'm super blind. I can only see like, I think this far.
Oh, I got better.
Right. Oh, great. Oh my God, look at that. The world is just a new thing. It's so stressful.
I bet.
The thing also is, like, when you choose a pair of glasses, it's a big commitment. You, it's not, because you have perfect vision. You can, this glasses, that, sunglasses. Oh, I can wear sunglasses. This color sunglasses, small sunglasses, big sunglasses. Doesn't matter if they don't fit, because you can wear them once a day, and then that's it.
Well,
I'm stuck with these glasses
That's not
for the
true.
next 3 years.
That's not true. You could just get your eyes fixed.
Do you mean you saying my eyes are small?
No, I'm saying your vision.
No, I don't trust LASIK.
Well, that's your own fault then.
No.
Have options.
It's not a viable solution. There's a lot of research to show that it's not a good idea to do LASIK.
A monocle or something.
So I go in there, so I try on glasses, and I'm very particular because that's the way I am, but also, again, these are the things I'm going to wear for the next 3 years.
You are a pain in the ass for everything.
It's simple, right? Your only job is to...
Oh, my only job is just to follow you around like an assistant.
Is to say whether or not this is a straight veto, or, it could be a yes.
I'm pretty good at it.
If it's a veto, it goes back on the shelf. If you think it's a maybe yes... You have to document it. If I think it's close to... I'm just going to
veto everything from now on. So
no.
But
this is the thing. If I think it's a potential yes and you think it's a veto, you still have to record it, right? That's how it works. It's not... But
at the end of the day, if you commit to a pair, I'm the one who's going to see the most. So doesn't it matter what I think?
That makes no sense. Okay, the next time we go to a
stare at the mirror all day long. I'm the one who watch your glasses every single day.
The next time we go to a store and you're asking for clothes, I'm going to pick out the most ridiculous thing and be like, it doesn't matter because I have to look at it. That makes no sense what you're saying.
Of course it does.
Rejection.
Of course it
Do
does.
not believe in
pick
that.
my clothes. Surprise me.
So, right, relatively simple thing. I'm going to put on the glasses and put down my real glasses. I can't see anything. I'm going to look at you. You're going to take photographs and a video. Video is important because iPhone photos, distort highly, and you need to see what it looks like when you move around, right?
You move around like that.
All the angles.
So I did videos, but you move around like that. I'm taking photos, so it's like pose 1, pose 2, pose 3, pose 4.
Okay.
A little more fluidity there, so it's more real.
Because the thing is that when you watch a video and you're in constant movement, it's not as you need to have moments where you're still. So therefore, it's both video and photograph.
You see, listeners, that's what I'm saying, pain in the ass.
But this is the thing. This is really simple, right? You hold the iPhone. It's an iPhone. You hit play. You hold like this. The person does their thing. You say, okay, I'm recording. I'm no longer recording.
But you don't need me. You could do that yourself.
No, I'm too blind.
How do blind people pick their clothes?
Blind people pick their clothes. I don't think that's a relevant argument in this discussion. I really don't think that's the case. Back in New York,
there's probably an app out there that just like puts clothes together for you.
back when in Braille. Ooh, bumpy today. Back in New York, the last time when I was choosing these glasses, you were doing this for me. And I will say we went and visited a lot of places, but I will also say a number of those visits we had to do, again, because easily 60% of the videos were of the floor of the store, and not even of me.
It's because, one app you have to keep holding the push button. Another app you just tap once. And it's just confusing. But you know what? I got a pair of glasses and it took me 15 minutes to get this.
Because you can, if I could see, I wouldn't need you. I could do it. I could do it very quickly.
Went with a friend, I trusted his opinion, and here I was.
Say what?
I went with a friend and I trusted his opinion, and.
But you still looked at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, but I could have taken a picture, put my other glasses on, look at the picture, decide.
No, it doesn't work.
problem is
does
you're
not
so
work.
specific that you try 30 pairs of glasses in like 10 different stores. They are all within the same range of model. But because there is one thing there that's different, one thing there, it's like it becomes this huge debate of which one should I go with.
I'm sorry. Are you detail oriented? This is what it means. And also, this is the thing you're going to wear for the next three years on your face. Right. I'm going to be very specific. Also, I have a very weird face.
I can't imagine you could ever get a tattoo. Like, that would just, like, you know, I mean, imagine how many million years ago that would have taken.
I mean, maybe like a tattoo my inner butt cheek. I'd never see it. No one would ever see it. Who cares? But if it's going to be on my face, I'm going to be very specific about the tattoo. I'd also have my very awkward face, so like a lot of glasses don't fit.
I mean, you know, like just get a head surgery. Just get like glasses integrated in your face, you know.
I do think I might have found a pair of Garrett Light and pretty nice. They're kind of, I don't know. The ones I have are nice, but they don't make them anymore, so I don't know. I'm not the whole like kind of Garrett Light, Warby Parker realm. I'm not sure. Kind of low quality, I feel like.
It is, but at the same time, you know, like glasses, style, your style, things you like change, evolved, you know, the way the status you are in life changes. Like, glasses are not meant for like your whole lifetime. They're
meant to last for at least like, what, 3 years probably?
Yeah, and I mean, or less. I mean, you go to Warby Parker, it's like $150 for a frame.
Yeah, but they're shitty.
Well, change it in a year or two.
No, I don't want to go to see other people and clients with Warby Parker glasses. I mean, they look shitty is what they look like.
I feel you. I mean, if you make me take video like this every year, I would just like probably dump you. Be like, look, man.
Also, glasses in the States are so expensive.
Wow.
It's not like in France where you get 5 pairs, you know.
I mean, you still pay for insurance to get your 5 pairs.
Say what?
You are still paying for your insurance to get your 5 pairs. They're not like free.
Yeah, but how much is it for 5 pairs of glasses? Like your mom has like the first 3 times I met her, I was amazed at how many glasses she has. I'm like, you must spend thousands of dollars on your glasses. Turns out no, because France has a better, like, you know, healthcare.
Well, her prescription is not as severe as yours, and the glasses she picked are pretty cheap glasses. They're not nothing, you know, like the ones you have, for example.
Yeah, they're kind of expensive. But again, 3 years, I need something that's gonna last. Right.
Or you could just wear contacts. Here, you see, you have option. LASIK, contacts. You choose the complicated one.
No, I'm not going to do contacts. I'm not putting plastic glass things in my eyes.
So you would never survive as being a woman. Like, you would never be able to like wear tampons or things like that.
I'm sorry. Where are we going with this? I was talking about trying glasses on, and now we're talking about putting tampons inside of your body.
I'm just thinking, like, you know, how uncomfortable you get with like contacts on your eyeballs. So imagine if you had a tampon on your body. I mean, just.
I really couldn't compare the two. I wouldn't even bother to guess how different those are or similar.
Imagine having a baby coming out of your body. What that would be.
Yeah, that's also something that you could elect to do for the most part, and you know, contacts. You know, I suppose is also a choice. I don't know. I would say that wearing hard lenses are quite uncomfortable because it's your eyes and you use them to see everything. Your vagina also probably uncomfortable to have something in there, but you don't use it to see things, you know. So if you're celibate, maybe it's less of a distraction. If you're an architect and use your eyes, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's worse. I'm not quite sure.
I mean, a lot of people wear contact lenses.
Yeah, good for them. I'm not doing that. I used to, but it's uncomfortable. And with my allergies and stuff, it doesn't work. Also, I have tiny eyes. I remember when I used to wear hard lenses because they would structure the eye and prevent it from getting worse, right? From the eye like shape, changing its shape. And you go to the optometrist, and you have to learn how to put in hard lenses and how to take them out and stuff. And you know, hard lens will get like stuck in the corner of your eye, and it's like really kind of icky. And there's a tutorial video the optometrist puts on. And this was back in VCR, like click, and this was rounded screen. And there's a woman there saying, "This is how you put in a contact lens." And you know, I have really relatively small eyes. Contact lens is relatively small. The woman in the video had the eyes of a fucking horse. She's like, "Oh, it's super easy." Bink! And her eyes like this. And it's like, well, that's not helpful. You are an Asian optometrist. All of your clientele are Asians. Maybe you should get a video with someone that has like eyes that are close to ours, because whatever method she's using to take the contact out and put it in, I can't do. Physically not possible for me to do. You see? Contact lenses, not good, not good.
I had to, I wore some ones. They had to order a special size for me.
Why?
Because my eyes were big. The doctor was like, yeah, you won't fit the standard, so we need to, order a special size.
Interesting.
I'm like,
Interesting.
Yeah, I had green eyes for a day. And I was like, I don't like this.
Did you see green? You must.
No, you don't see green. It's to change the color of your eyes.
Well, I mean, it's
But
probably
it's not like
a fair assumption.
an Instagram filter that turns your life green.
It's probably a fair assumption if you're wearing a piece of glass that looking one way is green, that the other way would also maybe look green. No, not green.
It's not.
Not green?
They're called like color contact lenses.
I don't know how those things
pretty
work.
common. No, but the thing was that I did is I got them, and then me and my dad went with my mom went to like the mall for shopping. It was just like like super bright light, AC. My eyes at the end of the day were so dried out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, let's take this out.
But the color, those lenses, the middle is transparent, right, for your pupil.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
It's just to change the color of your
I don't know, iris, right? But not the pupil.
No.
Why
would I want to see life in green?
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's dumb.
It was all green, like
No.
the Grinch. Yeah, I don't want to do contacts. So, Hayes Valley.
Hayes Valley. So we parked. We got so lucky funny parking. And we walked across. I think it's the Alamo Square because I looked at sign when we were up there. Like,
good.
Again, I'm there to perfect my geography of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And we were going to check out the Painted Ladies, which is a series of
naked women.
It might be somewhere,
With
but
paint
not
on
in
their
San
bodies.
Francisco. The Painted Ladies, which is a series of Victorian houses along the Alamo Square.
They are the 3 or 4 houses that are featured at the beginning of Full House, the TV show. And if I'm not mistaken, that's probably the main reason why they're famous.
I think we went at the wrong time of the day because the sun wasn't on them, if it ever is, and they looked a little faded to me.
You need to be there. Yeah, I think they face west, right? So you need to be there toward the end of the day.
Yeah, so the light wasn't really in our favor. I was kind of like, where are they? Oh, here they are. They're pretty cute. I have to say they're pretty cute. Not very big at all. And there's like way bigger Victorian houses in San Francisco than these. So that was cool. I'm glad we checked that off the list.
But they're not any more impressive than
any other big
average,
Victorian house.
In fact, we're kind of below average. There's a lot of other ones that are much more attractive and much more extravagant and just overall impressive. Let's see. In American architecture, Painted Ladies are Victorian and Edwardian houses and buildings repainted starting in the 1960s in 3 or more colors. The term was first used for San Francisco Victorian houses by writers Elizabeth Pomada and Michael Larson in their 1978 book, Painted Ladies, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so Painted Ladies is not actually... The Painted Ladies is not specifically those set of buildings. It's a general term for Victorian and Edwardian houses that are painted in 3 or more colors.
Yeah, but these ones are the most famous ones.
Yeah. I think those were only famous because they were in the TV show, which is actually really interesting to me that a TV show that has nothing to do with architecture has very little interest in architecture.
It's shot in studios.
It's a sitcom, right? And they only show a brief clip of those, call it 3 houses, right? For the most part, just one brief clip at the very end of the introduction of the TV show. That would make these things super famous and therefore probably cause their asking price to go way, 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 way up.
I mean, it's like
amazing.
In Friends when they have the snippets of Washington Square Park.
Yeah.
Like you never see the characters being there, right? But it's still like iconic.
The characters. Oh, there's Chandler.
No, but like in the show. You never see them there. It's always like, studio shot.
Yeah. It's weird.
But people are like, oh yeah, Washington Square Park, like,
It's also even stranger because, like, I guess Full House was really, super popular, but I don't feel like it has second life like Friends has. I feel like Friends has continued on to be popular now, even for generations after the thing had finished airing. I feel like Full House kind of like came and went, and it's. They revamped. They came out with Fuller House. I don't know how that's going, but Full House, when it ended, it was kind of like done.
Well, but I think it's because Friends was taking place in New York City, which people always have interest into New York City, and it's about a group of friends, young friends. So, like it's.
So Painted Ladies, not super impressed?
Not super impressed. It was worth checking out, but not super impressed. I've seen way more impressive Victorian houses in San Francisco or elsewhere. But Hayes Valley is very interesting because it kind of mixes old and new architecture.
You mean like Victorian single family,
multi-family modern? Like it's kind of like a weird transition. I feel like, and it might be just over the recent years. It seems like.
Yeah.
Which it's always tough when that happens because I feel like it always makes the modern stuff look so bad compared to the old.
Mm-hmm.
Because there isn't the aesthetic quality and the level of craftsmanship and detail isn't there.
It's just not there.
And it's not that it has to be. It's different time, like different standards, different attraction from people to architecture and the way it's designed. But just the juxtaposition is so brutal. Like you were walking down the street and there is like this like really quaint Victorian house with like this big generous porch and like landscaped, and then you walk down the street and there is this like modern multi-family building with really sad street entry and like studio apartment on the street that have no privacy.
Which one was that? Oh yeah, that one.
And it's just like
that was awkward because you're walking down a pretty steep street, walking down the sidewalk, narrow sidewalk, 4 lanes of traffic one way, but very, very loud. Like it's how you get to the freeway, right? That was the street. Very loud. And so you're walking down the left, there's the building, there's like a low wall sort of, right? To distinguish a private public boundary. But it's like really it's really low, and there's the door and the window to the living room right there.
And we walk by and we see a guy inside with his friend at a table, and the decor seemed like really like non-existing. So I thought it was an office, and then I see the kitchen range, and I'm like, oh my god, that was just somebody's apartment. It's kind of weird.
But do you think that that juxtaposition and the multi-family housing developments, which are a lot of times like a full block or half, but they're much wider. They're as wide as like, I don't know, at least six or more Victorian houses, right? They're quite large, full block, and they're taller. They're probably like, I don't know, 6 stories, 7 stories, 6 stories, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that they are unattractive because they're next to the Victorian houses, or do you think that they're just not good, period?
I mean, if I had to buy an apartment, I probably won't buy it there because of the facade.
Right.
Maybe I buy it because the kitchen is a good size and the price is good and there is a gym and there is all of that stuff. But I wouldn't buy an apartment in a modern building like this, like I would, for the same reason that I would buy it in a Victorian building.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean in terms of design, the exterior. Like
it's almost unfair to compare them because Victorian houses are single family privileged building.
Yeah.
When the other building we're talking about is multi-family, probably done with very limited budget that needs to fit like I don't know how many dozens of people.
It's true. They're different types.
So they're different types, but they're still not that great looking.
Yeah, I think they're bad. Even on a low budget, I think a lot of them are bad.
Like I like the the attention of trying to make each apartment entry like a little door on the street with a little walkway, and you have the your low gate that you can open and couple plants, so it feels like you almost have a front yard even if you live in a big apartment building. Like that's a nice attention, and that's a nice concept to have. I don't think that the realization is up to probably the concept that they had originally, which is sad and awkward. Like one apartment had a high top table with 2 chairs, outside on like basically on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great to be able to do that. Not everybody who lives in this building could have a space outside where they could sit that's near
totally
their unit.
Unusable.
But it is really weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I think those larger developments, it's interesting because clearly their context is Victorian house. Like that's basically what they're designing up, adjacent to or across from. And, when you're looking down the street perspective, you have Victorian houses or that style, and the ground level might have cafes and things like this. And then on the other side, you have your giant development. And that's so in on the one hand, it is unfair, like you said, but on the other hand, it's totally fair because that's the reality. They're next to each other. And I feel like, I don't know, large projects like that are strange because there's always an attempt to break down scale, which is
to make it
fit. And there's an attempt to like you've seen the diagram. Okay, if in an elevation of a street, I have 4 Victorian houses, right? And all the windows are aligned a certain way. They all look different, but there's like geometries that line up. And I carry that line over to my building. Therefore, my bay windows line up with theirs. That's like one of the, the skeleton is the same. That's like one of the basic things. But it's like, that is such a thin layer, such a small part of the bigger picture that's not even important to have, and there's an attempt to break down scale to relate to existing context, and there's context, and there's also an attempt to have enough variation within a certain design rule set and a certain aesthetic. Like each Victorian house is different from the other, even though they're all categorically Victorian or Edwardian or whatever. And in a large development, you try to have a kit of parts for coherency, but you also build in variation and difference to I don't want to say to mimic reality of different types of different buildings, but to give it some life and juice. But I've only seen that work like maybe 3 times in my life, and the rest of the time it's like, this still just looks like a big development with a really poor attempt to have variety. Yesterday we were watching the TV show Catch-22, and one of the scenes was shot in Italy, and I was like looking at the streets, and like how in Europe you could see the different layers of history, like building built next to each other that were done at different times by different people with different families, but they somehow have a coherency, like similar language and things. But they're each very different, and they each have their style in a way, right? Mm-hmm. And whenever I see like a big modern, residential development, for example, I understand the scale of the property. Like it's a big property, you want to build as many units as you can, but why do you always have to treat it as one big block? Why isn't there a way to make it look like it's more like a little collection of houses, of buildings that maybe were built at different time, maybe were built at the same time, but each have their own identity? Why does all of the standard of what people should desire needs to be the same? For a single development like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. One is cost.
I mean, the inside, they could all have the same finishes if you want, but maybe people want to have a house or a building they live in that looks different. One that has brick, one that looks Victorian, one that has a porch, one that have a stoop, one, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that would be great to have variety like this instead of this uniform box thing. No,
I agree. I think one of cost because it's almost like you would hire different architects to do different parts of the project. Yeah. In the facade, and that's risky, but or just have different people on the same team, each take a crack at one and something. But it's the greater variety of material and details, the cost goes up, of course. But I still think there's a way to do it.
Yeah, but you could have the same. You can have the same pieces in your kit, right? You just use them differently and compose them differently.
Well, then labor. Right.
I don't know.
Even with all that, I mean, the projects have a really tight budget. They do what they need to do. In terms of variation, I think they're limited because of the reasons I brought up. But a lot of them, you can tell like there was enough money here. You could have probably figured out a way to have more variation. It's weird because it's like there is an assumption in architecture that like there needs to be coherency in the design throughout the entire project. And generally speaking, like 90% of the time, I agree with that, and that makes sense. And certainly, teacher to student, you should try for that because it's a good exercise. Whether or not philosophically, conceptually, you believe in this, and that's what architecture should be, separate question. But in terms of skills, try and figure out how to make something that looks good and consistent. Then we can talk about more advanced level stuff. Which, side note, which is why I have a problem with schools which go super conceptual and they don't train students how to just produce beautiful things. It's like, okay, well,
you check all the boxes on the list, but it's still
doing beautiful things was one of those things one of the skills you need to have. All the conceptual and whatever stuff aside, you should have that skill set to be able to draw on it. Whether or not you use it directly in your own work is a separate thing, but you need that skill set. So the assumption that things have to be coherent like all the way through is mostly a valid one, but it is for sure an assumption, especially when you get to a project of the scales that we're talking about. And especially when the context is single lot, small scale houses that are each done, executed in a way where they look quite different from each other. For that kind of, contextual feeling, it's like that's a massive assumption that the whole building should have a similar language. Why?
And if you are trying to fit within the environment by breaking down the facade so it looks like different buildings or whatever, like. So have you looked around the streets to understand how, what makes the street beautiful and pleasant and how it should be coherent?
That's the tough part, right? Because so we were walking along the street that had the glasses shop and the furniture store, and that was the single lot development, trees. Other side, big multifamily project. And so we get to the end, turn around. Now we walk on the multifamily project side of the street. So we experience both directly against the building. And the multifamily project also had at the ground level different restaurants. I don't know if there were shops. I think they're all restaurants, but those kinds of consumer-based programs. And but it wasn't terrible architecture, but it was kind of depressing, right? Kind of depressing after you've experienced like the authentic and real side of the street, which each one is its own kind of unique character. Now you're walking along something that feigns character and it pretends to have variation with little whatever, but it feels very commercial, robotic. It feels like outdoor shopping mall developed by one big, Westfield mall. It doesn't feel like the street. It doesn't feel like the street.
I was taking pictures of those Victorian houses, and I'm not like particularly into like classical style or history or preserving things that we have and or replicating and things like that. But there is something pretty damn magical about those houses, and I love colors, and like seeing buildings that are not shy and using colors and like touches and accents and like details, and even decor. Like decor is such a taboo thing on building now. Like we have no money for it, nobody's interested in it. It needs to look flush, flat, minimal, naked, like generic. But it would be cool to be able to have like buildings that are expressive, that are that are not shy, that have personality, that have things to say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's for everybody, and it should, and it should be that way, but it would be refreshing. It would be, you don't have to start from zero when you design a facade. There is lessons you can learn and things you can transpose from one era to another,
Yeah, I hear you. I think it's, I think first of all, a lot of architects now, they don't have the skills to do that. They don't have the skills to do that because that's not what a lot of people do. They do all very clean, whatever stuff. And it's difficult, yes, to produce minimal work. That's great, for sure. For sure, that's the case. To produce great minimal work, But to produce anything less than grade to minimum work, it's kind of a cakewalk. It's more difficult to construct and more difficult to coordinate because you have to make sure that all the construction's right on point to get things to align and stuff. But for anything less than great, it's kind of, there's not a lot of stuff to work with, and that's why you find a lot of mediocre modern work, because it takes an extreme amount of dedication, talent, skill to do great stuff, and it's really apparent when it's not at that level. And there's just, I don't know, maybe it's also that kind of work, it also just doesn't have enough like stuff to it. There's not enough going on, you know what I mean? Like you look at a Victorian house, there's a lot of frosting on that cake. Might not like it, but there's a lot of, your eyes are you know, gripped by this thing.
It's like a cupcake.
Yeah,
I think that's why I like them. They're like
very intense,
very bright cupcake. You know.
And then next to it, anything else that doesn't have, I don't know. It's, and also I feel like a lot of the larger projects in the district that we saw, they're trying. They actually don't have an identity. I think that's the problem for me. They don't really have a soul.
They're not memorable.
They're not making a statement. They're trying to kind of disappear, if anything. It's like they're saying, I know,
like we're there, like they're huge.
I know I'm big, I'm awkward, so I'm just gonna try and like fit with the scale and the color, and I'm gonna sort of be modern because everyone likes this kind of thing now. But I'm also sort of gonna have some decoration because I have to kind of fit with here, and I'm just gonna try and sort of not even please everyone. I'm just going to sort of try and not upset everyone around me, and that's my existence. And that's the feeling I get for like 90% of the multifamily housing projects.
Mean, it might also come down to, you know, like, community support and reaction, right? If you build a giant building and you try to make a statement, then you might upset a ton of people. But if you make the statement in a very beautiful way, then you might just make people wanting to live there.
Well, I think that's part of it too. There is definitely just like pure aesthetics. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it beautiful? Discussion. And I'd say a lot of them just are not that. And then there's the thing too of the external forces at play. And I think that's the downside. That's the danger of producing architecture that wants to be, you know, responsible to the urban context. It can very quickly become something that's just like doesn't have a soul in a sense, and that's the boundary between having a good response and losing an identity is a murky one. You know, should we end it? All right, I think we're gonna end it.
All right, end.
So listen out for we did a recording about the AREs that's coming out this Thursday. And of course, we're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Spotify.
Hit the hotline, 213-222-6950. Next week, we have some messages that came in. We're going to trying to get to you guys. I'm sorry, it's been a little delayed. What else is going on? Show us your support, leave a review, and check out our website for all of our content. Give us a follow on Instagram.
Keep an eye on Arc Daily and ArcConnect, where we appear once in a while.
We appear on there once in a while. Yeah, got some good interviews coming out. And I think just stay tuned. And thanks for listening.
Yep.
All right, everybody. This is the Midnight Charette, and we will talk to you again next week or sooner. Bye.
Bye-bye.